All right, so here we are at the birds and mammals unit. We'll begin by talking about birds, or avian reptiles, as they are many times referred to as. Dinosaurs are an extinct group of reptiles that are actually the most recent common ancestor for modern birds. Many biologists see birds as just simply feathered dinosaurs, and so they call them avian dinosaurs. A lot of them call them that. And there were two main groups of dinosaurs: the Ornithischia and Saurischia, and this has to do with their hip shape. So let's look at those two groups. So the Ornithischia, or this word literally means bird hip. The ornith is bird, and ischia is hip, and they have a very similar hip structure to modern day birds. They have a predentary bone that is unpaired, and this is a predentary, so think teeth, and it's almost like a beak, and you see that on a couple of these guys here. And this is for cutting up vegetation. They have pre-maxillary bones, again, that are part of the jaw. These are also toothless, and these together form this beak kind of thing. But then on the inside of their mouths, many of them did have these kind of teeth that almost had a leaf shape to them, and this allowed them to crush their food. Most of this group were herbivorous, and they had very large stomachs for digesting plant matter. And I mean, they would eat literally dozens and dozens, hundreds of pounds of vegetation a day, and this vegetation would just kind of sit in their stomachs and get gross. And as it did that, it would feed their body would get the nutrients from it. Most biologists believe that these animals grouped in herds, much like our herbivorous animals today as well. You probably remember the famous scene from Jurassic Park. Silly. These are among the largest dinosaurs that are known. So next are the Saurischians, and this means reptile hip. And so the shape of their hip is more like what we see with reptiles today. All carnivorous dinosaurs are in this group. Modern birds are also in this group. Most were extinct during the Cretaceous period, during that, or the end of that, where there was the meteor or whatever, the comet that hit. The first bird, which is often called the first bird, Archaeopteryx, came out of this group. Archaeopteryx is considered a transition between non-feathered dinosaurs and modern birds. You can see here on this fossil, this very famous fossil. This picture makes it look a lot bigger than it is. It's not very big, but it's you can see the feathers there. It was discovered in 1861 in Germany, and very reptilian aside from the feathers that you see, the imprints of those feathers. So here's a picture of what they think Archaeopteryx probably look like. Probably pretty small, not a chicken size, but think about twice the size of a chicken, and it kind of flew around from tree to tree. That's kind of what the idea is for that animal anyway. And so there are a lot of similarities between birds and reptiles. The scales being one of the most apparent. You can see there's bird feet there. They have lots of scales. They have a structure on the back of their skull called the occipital condyle. And you can see here, and this has to do with muscle connection. And so the birds have one. We have two of those at the base of our own skulls. Reproduction, very similar between birds and reptiles. Internal fertilization, oviparous. And then, of course, they share that common ancestry with dinosaurs, and that also links them. And so a lot of times when you see a cladogram of animals, just big animal groups, you will see the bird group branching off later into the reptile group. And so that's where that oftentimes come from, is you see that common ancestor between modern day reptiles and birds. And really and truly, dinosaurs went away from modern day reptiles as well, as we learned about in the reptile unit, where you had lizard snakes, turtles, crocodiles going kind of this one direction, and dinosaurs and birds going this other direction.